Hi there, it's Liz Yuille from Old Stables Crafts. Thank you for joining me again today for another Freaky Friday, another of my Halloween series. So this is what I have for you today. It's a card that is shaped like a coffin, and it's got some aging going on and some of the black sparkle embossing powder. It's just, I don't know. I'm really pleased with how this one turned out. I know I shouldn't say that, but hey, why not? So let me show you how I made it. I'm starting with a piece of basic grey cardstock, and I've just scored it down the middle and folded it in half. It's a top fold card. Really, this needs to be a top fold card. Not sure that it would work as a side fold card, certainly not with these dimensions anyway. So, how did I shape my card? Okay, so we need to find the middle of the card. Now, this is roughly 4 inches. It's 10.5 centimetres wide. So let me find a pencil, and I'm going to mark in the middle, which is about 2 inches. And then I'm coming out, and I'm deliberately marking here because I'm going to cover it up. I'm going to come out 2.5 inches. I need a ruler that's actually got half or rather 1/4 inches on. So if I come in from this side, so I'm going to just very slightly come over the top. So there's our 2 inches, and I want to come out so that my top width here is 2.5 inches. So I want 1 1/4 here and 1 1/4 here, and there, that is therefore going to be my first cut. And I want the same at the bottom, so with a T ruler I can very easily mark there, and the same again on this side, there and there. So let's just get those properly in. And then for the angle here, I'm going to come down 2 inches. So let's just mark 2 inches there and 2 inches over here. Oop. So 2 inches here. And then that is where I'm going to be cutting. Now, I'm not going to draw the lines in because that's just more stuff to rub out. So what I'm going to do is grab my my die cutter, my trimmer. Good grief. This is what comes of trying to film quite so many videos back to back. Okay, so line up your pencil mark there and your pencil mark there, and trim and trim. And if it doesn't come off with the first pass, then just go back and hopefully it will come off with the second. And then line up that point with the mark at the bottom, and again trim. So that's 1 off. And the key is obviously to not move your card while you're doing the second layer. And then I'm going to do the top first. So line up there and there. Open that up. And actually that may be loose. Good as. And then where we've cut to where we want to cut. And oop, trim. I'll finish that off with a pair of scissors. Okay, we will probably need our trimmer again, in fact we will, but I'm just going to trim this off. There we go. Okay, so that is our coffin shape ready to go, and I'm just going to make sure that any pencil marks that are on the edge are rubbed out. It doesn't matter too much because we are going to age this, but we're now going to use this as our template for the paper. So you don't have to have this straight, it can go at an angle, so I'm going to not waste this corner bit and go at an angle because cobwebs are cobwebs, and I'm actually lining it up I will then be trimming it slightly smaller because I do want the grey to show through. So there we go. Pop that over there. And grab my trimmer again. I'm going to very quickly just cut this down. Actually, will I? Yes, I will. Just cut it down. So I'm going to cut along the lines that I've just drawn. And then I'm going to trim it down. And I'll show you how I make sure it's a really even trim all the way round. Because you want the same gap all the way round, but you want to keep your angles correct. And that will be a little more obvious when I have finished doing this and I can explain it to you properly. Okay, so those are the bits that we don't need. Let's get rid of all of those. Don't need my eraser anymore. Okay, so we want to keep these angles the same. So all I'm going to do is, my trimmer has got this gusset, this piece that comes out. I'm going to line up the edge of my paper against the edge of that so that I'm cutting the same angle the whole way round. So just go all the way round, cutting as you go. And all you have to do is remember where you started. The rest will all fall in place. So that's 3. 4. 5. And the top will make 6. I've got 6 edges, therefore I need to do 6 trims. And there we go. So this then fits really nicely onto my card. Probably the other way around, actually. You will find that one side just sits nicer than the other, and it's to do with whether you've got these angles exactly right. So I'm just going to make sure I get rid of those marks on the back. And you cut your liner for the inside in exactly the same way. Now, before I go any further, I'm going to just age everything a wee bit. I've got a somewhat manky sponge dauber, and I'm just going to tip some of this is the Champagne Mist shimmer paint, and I'm going to use that to, now you could take this just out of the lid of your pot, but I found that I needed to do more than just one lid's worth, so this just speeds things up a bit. But if you want to just take it out of the lid, then that is fine too. And then you just want to go around all the edges, and it doesn't matter if you get a bit messy in the middle because we're going to cover it up, so it's all good. The main thing is to make sure that you've got a good bit on the edge, and using your silicone mat means you've got a really quick clean up. Okay, so can you see that that's nice and shimmery? Yes, just about. And then I want to do the same again on my paper, for no other reason than I can. I just like, because we're going for that Halloween look, I just like, for some, not all of my projects, to have that little bit of aged, distressed look. And this you can go a bit mad with because this is actually going to show. So if you want to add a bit more and spread it out a bit, then that's absolutely fine. And it kind of adds to the whole cobweb. So while we're at it, let's shimmer just, you know, arbitrarily, doesn't matter where, just add a bit more shimmer. Whoops, there we go. Now I'm going to need this again, so I'm going to pop that to one side and apparently drag my card across with it. Okay, so some snail. Just add snail to the back of your paper. And in the meantime, of course, I will be adding shimmer to my grid paper because it's not completely dry yet. Did I do the top? Yes, more or less. And then one down the middle just for good luck. And then we can pop that down onto our card base. Press from the back because that's what I always do. Now, this was cut with a die from the Castles. Oh, and I can't find a piece of the Castles paper, but I cut it from the circle layering dies, and then terracotta tile again from one of these scallop circle layering dies. But I'm also going to do it with punches. So this one I'm doing with, that's the 2-inch circle punch, and I just picked that one there because it was right at the edge. So that's 2-inch circle punch, and then in pumpkin pie, because that's the colour that she's got on, I've used the starburst punch. And this is why I have kept my paint, because I want to pop that round the edge. Then we've just got to do the top, and we are good to go. Now this, I used the, now what do we call it, the ornate frames that go with the, oh, I need to work out what it's called, Spooktacular Bash stamp set. You can get it as a bundle, which saves you 10% on both. So that's always good to know. I'm going to see if I can find a punch that will work instead, because I would like this to just be punches, so it's more of, I don't know, more of a casual crafter project rather than an avid, because I always think die cutting goes more with avid than with casual. So I'm thinking probably, actually that might, no, that, possibly that's the one to go for. Will that fit? Nope, not that one. So we'll go for, not convinced that's going to work either. We'll keep that one out because that's the one I would prefer to use. Otherwise, we have got the Everyday Label Punch, which is definitely going to be okay, but I quite fancy the other one. So let's have a go. So I want a piece of soft suede, which is one of the colours that is in the Designer Series paper. So just a scrap of that. And I've heat embossed with the sparkly black, which I'm trying to find. It's on my desk, can't see it for looking at it. It's right in front of me. Okay, so I need a scrap of paper, my embossing buddy, which I always keep on top of my Versamark ink, ink up my stamp, and stamp my Have a Spooktacular Halloween, and then grab my shimmer Yep, that looks good to go. And pop this back into my pot. And that's that. And I'm going to bring in the stamp set for you to have a look at while I am heating this. First things first, I need to heat up my embossing tool, my heat tool. So really fun, and it works perfectly with the ornate dies. Now my top tip, and this is just, I know nothing about this, I'm just guessing, I think this might carry over, because I can see that being useful for all sorts of things. And the fact that it's not being called anything to do with Halloween, I don't know, that just makes me think it might carry over. Okay, so let's have a go at this. Now with the sparkle, It does still go shiny, but it's not quite as easy to see when it goes. And what you don't want to do is overheat it, because that will burn it. Ooh, the spook. There we go. If you overheat it, it will burn into the paper, which is not a good look. So let me... Now, the one I really want to use is this. I'm not 100% convinced it's going to fit, but we'll give it a go. Ooh, 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 I might just get away with that. Yay! Hurrah and huzzah. Okay, excellent. So there we go. Now what I might do is actually trim that straight, because I think that would be quite, or at least just take that, there we go, just take that off. Do remember, you can cut your punches and your die cuts. You don't have to use them exactly as they are, so you can just cut the edges. Bring back in my shimmer paint and just again age the edges a bit. And then we can pop it all together and we will be done. Just need to add some silver metallic thread and that's it. Okay, so first things first, let's pop this together, and I'm going to use a little bit of the liquid adhesive, just a tiny bit. I just find it's a nice adhesive for these sorts of things. Okay, then I'm going to put some black dimensionals on the back, because we have black dimensionals, yay! I hope you spotted these in the autumn winter catalogue. You get 2 sheets of the large and 2 sheets of the small dimensionals, and it means that if you're using darker colours, which obviously the basic grey is, that it's not so obvious as the white. So it's just an alternative, and of course you don't have to draw across the back to know that you've taken the the layers off. Paper, that's the word I was looking for. Ooh. So, one there, one there, one there, and come along, one up at the top. So I'm going to adhere this, and then I'm going to do my silver thread, and then we will be done. Okay, so pop this up at the top, sort of squarish, would be nice. Call me old-fashioned, but I do like square. Right, for the silver thread, I'm just going to add a reasonable amount of snail, where I'm going to pop the die cut, well, punch. Nice long piece of the silver thread. This is not expensive stuff, so you can be kind of generous with it. And then I'm going to just wrap it round my open fingers. And then what I tend to do is pop the 2 ends down, oops, or not. Pop one end down, pop the other end down so I know they're hidden. Then take my loops, twist them, and then kind of arrange where I want them. But by twisting them you get a better kind of just bit of a mess, because you don't want them to be too organised. This is meant to be a spider's web, so we are going for a messy look. So it's a spider's web on top of a coffin in Dracula's castle. And this is one of his brides, I guess. So make sure you're covering your snail. And there we go. So let's clear the decks a bit, find my original. And there we go. So punches and dies. I hope you enjoyed that. I'll be fascinated to hear which one of these you prefer, whether you prefer the punched version or the die cut version. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. If you wish to see more of my videos as they come out, please do hit the subscribe button. When I get to 7,000 subscribers, we get to have a tidy of my craft room and a tour. So always something to look forward to. Craft room tours always seem to be popular. Very close to 7,000 by the time you see this. I may even be there. But as I say, I'm filming ahead for holidays. If you need any of the products, please do think about shopping with me if you're in the UK. All the links are below. If you would like to subscribe to my newsletter, you can do that over on my website. And you'll also see some close-up photos over on my website, along with the measurements for how to cut your card. Thank you very much indeed for watching, and I look forward to seeing you very soon. Bye!